Hakadosh Boker Or Masechet Menahot Daf Yomi Daf Nun Amud Aleph 58:1 says the Gemara Mikom Makom Shivavu. Right at the end of the day, it's only going to be 7 tlaim that needed to be there because you have the 6th midin of the Shabbat, and then you have the one of Rosh Hashanah, right, and one extra one of Tamid Shachar Shel Yom Shlishi. So therefore, why did the Mishnah, why did the Gemara say, well, we were talking about 6? What's 6? It's supposed to be 7. So he says Ela Tana Be'al Makai. Really, be'amet, we're talking about like in general. Umay Kedei LeShabbat. And we're talking about that, really we're talking about every single day because it's simana be'alma. It's only a siman in order that we shouldn't make a mistake that it's going to be 5 or 4. Okay? So he comes and he says, Deikanami diktani, it's also deduced from that, Kedei l'Shabbat. What does that mean? For the 2 Yamim Tovim of Rosh Hashanah, V'loktani l'Shabbat l'Shem Yamim Tovim of Rosh Hashanah. Right? So Shema Mina. So that's exactly what it is. So basically it comes out that the Tmidin that we needed for those days, right, is like what the Tana did not say it as like a siman of the mispar of exactly what you needed. It was, you know, it was just a minimum. Okay? Lo yikrivu. Lo yikrivu keves baboker. So he comes and he says like this. So he says, right? He says, Lo ikrivu keves baboker. Amar Rabbi Shimon, what happens if they didn't bring the keves in the morning? So do they bring it in the afternoon? Meaning, remember, there's the keves in the morning, keves in the afternoon. What happens if they didn't bring the morning? Do you still bring the afternoon one or not? So Amar Rabbi Shimon, v'kula ita kreva ben arbaim. So he says, you bring everything in the ben arbaim. Shemen chalchim mizbach hazav v'gdorat because they're not going to start the mizbach hazav. Remember that the inside mizbach is called the golden mizbach hazav. So what starts it? The ktorat hasamim, right? And he says, right, and not the mizbach haolah tamish shachar. So he says the Gemara, chinuch man dechashmeh. Who's talking about now how you're starting something, right? The chinuch is always education, but it's the start. What is the concept of chinuch? Chinuch is Chanukah, the beginning of the starting of something, of a process. So says the Gemara, this is what it means to say. We're lacking part of it. And we say like this: Lo ikrivu keves. Yeah, lo yikrivu keves baboker, lo yakrivu ben arbaim. If you didn't bring it in the morning, you're not going to bring the ben arbaim. One of these words, shalom nitchanecha mizbeach. If it was not nitchanecha mizbeach, but if it's going to be nitchanecha mizbeach, yakrivu ben arbaim, they are going to bring the ben arbaim. Amar Rabbi Shimon says Rabbi Shimon. Yeah, you want to tell them just lower the voices? So he says, "Bizman shayu anusim or shogegim. If they're going to be anusim or shogegim, but ayu mezidim. But if they're going to be mezid, lo yikrivu kevs walker, lo yikrivu beramayim. But if they want, then they meaning like this. If it was an accident, so fine. You didn't bring the morning one, bring the afternoon. But if you did it purposely, no. Lo yiktiru k'tora baboker yaktiru beramayim. Then you're going to bring the ben arbaim. Okay, Minan Mile, how do we know these words? The Tanur Rabbanan was going to the right of it. The Kavas Shani Tar San Rabbaim. Hasheni ben Arbaim velo Rishon ben Arbaim. It's going to be the second one, not the first one. But Medvani when you in these words Shalom Nitchanecha Mizbeach, but Nitchanecha Mizbeach afilu Rishon ben Arbaim. Even the first one is going to be Mizbeach Arbaim. So Rabbi Shimon Ematai, one of these words, these man shayu anusin shogin, when they were at nuso shogeg. Aval yayu mezidin, but if they were going to be mezidin, lo ikrivu kevas baboker, lo ikrivu ben Arbaim. Lo iktiru k'tora baboker, yaktiru ben Arbaim. So basically the same thing. If it's going to be ones or shogeg, force majeure, they're going to do it. But if it's going to be mezid, so then they're not going to bring it. And if they didn't bring the ketoret, they will bring the ketoret ben arbaim. So there's a difference between the ketoret and the keves. So the keves you will not bring if you did it be mezid, but the ketoret you will bring even if you did it be mezid. So it says now the Gemara, right, as follows. Yeah, it says the Gemara, v'kohanim chatu mizbeach batel. I don't understand. A kohen comes, right, and he made a mistake. Why? He did it on purpose. So now they sinned. The Mizbeach is going to suffer. I don't understand. We said, no, if they did it by accident or force majeure, if they did it by Mezid. But I don't understand. Who did the Mezid? The Kohanim. The Kohanim are going to sin and now the Mizbeach is going to stay suffering. Oh, what's going on? Samarava Hakikama. This is what we say. Lo yakrivu hen, aval Kohanim achrim yakrivu. No. They sinned, they don't bring it. But you know who brings it? Other Kohanim. Because they sinned, so they're not going to bring it. They don't have that zechut. Right, that zechut. So he says, "Lo iktiru ketora babokir iktiru ben arbaim." The Kevin the lo shchicha because since it's not tadir umeatra and it's me'asheret the kohen hamaktira chaviv alu v'lo pashe. So therefore, what's going to happen is it's chaviv. They're not going to meaning like this. Anything to do with parnasa, they're not going to be poshea. They're not going to do negligence. Why parnasa? So he says, it makes a person rich. If it's going to make you rich, huh? Lo shononai tells you the nature of a human being. So they didn't make a knas. Yeah, you understand? They didn't make a knas. Okay. So he comes and he says like this. Amar Rabbi Shimon. Yeah, says Rabbi Shimon, V'kula kreva Ben Arbaim, everything's going to be brought in Ben Arbaim. Shem Echachim Mizbach Hazav Lektorat Tasvin Shel Ben Arbaim. Tanya, we learned on the right Lektorat Tasvin Shel Shachar. Says the Gemara Tanaihi. It's a Tanaihi. Yeah. So Amar Abaye says, Mistabra Kimanda Amar. It's Mistaber like Kimanda Amar that says, right, Lektorat Tasvin Shel Ben Arbaim. דכתיב בזה סזן הפסוק, בבוקר בטבעות הנרות תירנה. אי לאו דעבד הדלקה מאורתא, if they didn't do הדלקה מאורתא, טבע בצפרא מאיכה. So therefore, meaning like this, if they didn't start coming and lighting from the nighttime, so therefore, how in the world are they going to come and they're going to start lighting in the morning? Meaning for sure there had to be a lighting in Ben Arbaim, and therefore with that lighting, they're going to continue in the morning. So he says, Ulmandamar, but according to the Mandamar, Victoria Tasvim Shachar, they were talking about Victoria Tasvim in the morning. Kamar Mizbach Haolah, you're learning from Mizbach Haolah. Just like he says, Ma lehalan betamid shel Shachar, so to you, Victoria Tasvim shel Shachar. Right? It has to be that they're going to start with the Mizbach Zahav, with the Victoria Tasvim of Shachar. Okay? Fine. ולא את השולחן אלא בלחם הפנים בשבת, and not the shulchan only the lechem hapanim of Shabbat. So he says, אלא בכל יחנוך הוא תלא מחנך, right? Akadush Mikdash. He says if you're going to be medayek, only to do with the chinuch of the shulchan is that it's not going to help. But he says, but to do with the kiddusha, that it's going to be mekadesh even in lechem, it's going to help. So he says, Higufa Kamashmalan, that in itself is teaching us. The chinuch vegam kiddush the shulchan b'shabbatu. He says it's the chinuch and the kiddush the shulchan on Shabbat. Kedetani seifas is brought down on the seifa, ve'lo menorah ela shivan nenoteh ben arbaim, and not the menorah, which is going to be the 7 right candles of the menorah. So he says now like this, Tanu Rabbanan. זהו כתורת שעלתה ליחיד המזבח החיצון, פוראת שעה הייתה. He says this is going to be the ketoret of the only ketoret, which is going to be on the mizbeach hachitzon. Meaning, right, usually the ketoret is always on the inner mizbeach. Here it's going to be different, that this ketoret is going to go on the mizbeach hachitzon. Right, this is only one. Mamash, it's like an exception to the rule. Okay? So he says over here, right, heicha, which one? Amarav Papa ben Nesim. We're talking about the Nesim. When the Nesim brought the Chanukat Mizbeach, each one of them brought a ketoret. That ketoret was brought on Mizbeach HaChitzon, meaning every ketoret is usually where? The inner Mizbeach, the golden one, on the inside of the Echal. This is the only one that is going to be on the outside. So he says, right, Yachid Mizbeach HaChitzon Udelo, Had Mizbeach Pnimim Yakriv, he does bring it. The two, and furthermore, on Mizbeach HaChitzon Yachid Udelo, Tzibur Mekrave. Vatanya Yachol Yadam Mitnadev Mevi Kayotzebo, right, Benedava, Vani Koreba, I'm going, meaning a person could come and bring a nedava, whatever he wants. And it says, Motzas Vatecha Tishmon Vasita, meaning you have to watch over what you said in your mouth, and you're obligated to keep your neded. Tamulomar Lo Ta'alu Alav Ketoret Zara, you're not allowed to bring a Ketoret Zara. Right? So I would have thought to say that, listen, what happens if he could bring a ketoret as a nedava? So he says, we never saw a ketoret that is going to be a chovat yachid. Right? Daf Nuna Mubet, 50b. So he says, but only a tzibur could bring the ketoret. Right? Shemevi chova kayotzebo. Tamulomar lo ta'alu. They're not going to bring it up. V'yachol, I would have thought to say, lo ya'alu al mizbeach hapnimi. You don't bring it on the inner mizbeach, but ya'alu mizbeach hitzon on the outer one. Tamulomar v'etshemen hamishcha v'ketoret tzimim lakodesh kolot asher tzviticha yasu. She'en lecha lama shemu b'inyan. Only what's written on the inyan, in the story. So Rav Papa says, Lo mi baya kaman. Lo mi baya, not only is it going to be talking about tzibur al mizbeach hitzon lo ashkachan, v'lo mi baya yachid al mizbeach hapnimi, v'lo ashkachan ela afilu yachid al mizbeach, da ashkachan menesiim horat sha'ayta. It was going to be a horat sha'ayta, which means the Nisim, when they brought it, it was brought on the outside, but that was Horat Sha'ah. Horat Sha'ah means it's a one-off. A one-off as a special Hora'ah. Horat Sha'ah, the psak of that moment, right, of that hour. So therefore, it's a special halacha. Okay? Mishnah on Nuna Mubet. Mishnah on 50b. Chavite Kohen Gadol, the machvat of the Kohen Gadol. Remember, the Kohen Gadol used to bring 2 korbanot every single day. One in the morning and one in the Ben Arbaim. He used to do a Isaron Solet, he used to split it up in half, and one in the morning, one in the night time. Lo ayu ba'im b'chatzayin. They wouldn't bring from his house chetzi Isaron, right? Ela mevi Isaron shalem v'chotzeo, meaning, I would have thought to say he's going to bring half an Isaron from his house in the morning, and then half in the afternoon. No. He used to bring a full Isaron, and then they used to divide it into meaning it's not that you bring a half. You bring a full whole. And then they split it up there in the Bet HaMikdash. Okay? So he says, Kohen shemevi mechza shachrit umet. What happens if he brought half in the morning and then he died in the middle of the day? Uminu kohen acher tartav. Now they bring another one. They appoint another kohen. Gadol. Lo yavi chatzi. He's not going to bring chatzi sarom mibeto. And he cannot bring the chatzi sarom from his house. He has to bring a full isaron from his house. He brings half, and the other half goes to waste. If right now they found 2 chatzayin, so krevin, the chetzi saron is going to be brought first in the morning. The chetzi saron is going to be brought in the afternoon. Ushne chatziin ovdin, and then they're going to have to get rid of the other two halves. Okay, because basically what happens if they actually lost basically one half, so then they have to bring down like another full one, and then two halves are going to get lost. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita. Ilu ne'eman mincha machatzit. If it says solat mincha tamim machatzita, right? Machatzit b'boker machatzit b'erev. Haiti Omer, I would have said mevi chetzita. You could bring half from his house in the morning and half in his house in the afternoon. Talmud Lomar comes teach you machatzita b'boker machatzita b'erev. What does that mean? Mechza shalem. What do you mean? You have to bring right a mechza from shalem. You have to bring a half from a full. How do you bring a half from a full? He says you have to bring a full isaron, and you bring half in the morning, half in the afternoon. Nitma, what happens if it becomes tameh, the one of Mechsa Shalmai Moshe got lost? Yachula would have thought to say, now you could bring another half from your house, right? V'yakriv, and you could bring it. Tamulumar comes to no, machzita b'boker erev. Mechsa Shalem, you always have to bring half of a full. So how do you do it then? Mevi Saron Shalem, again you have to bring another full one from your house, right? V'chutzeu, you split it in half. You bring that half, and the other half is going to go to the waste. So it comes out two halves are going to be brought, and two halves are going to be lost or go into waste. Kohen Gadol shechriv mechza b'shachrit. If the Kohen Gadol is going to bring half in the morning, and then he dies, and they appointed another Kohen Gadol instead of him, Yachol Yavi, I would have thought to say that they're going to come and bring another. He's going to bring a chetzi saron from his house, or chetzi saron shalishon of the first guy. Again, the same thing. He has to bring a full one a half from a full. How do you do it? Maybe you're going to bring a full isaron and you're going to split it in half. Half you're going to bring, and the other half is going to go to the waste. So it comes out 2 chatzein are going to be going to the waste, and 2 chatzein are going to be brought. Okay? Fine. 2 dots. Tani Tana Kamedel Nachman. We taught in front of Nachman. Mechza Rishon, Mechza Shani, Tubat Tzeratan, Yetzilu Ve'Tosifah. You remember we taught that if you have the leftovers, so it has to, Teubar Tzuratan, it has to lose its figure, right? Right? Meaning it has to lose its figure, and then what's going to happen is it's ulebet asrefa. So Amale Rav Nachman says of Nachman Bishlam Rishon. I understand the first one ichzila krava. It's fitting for a krava. El hashani lama leyibutzura. For the second one, why do you need the yibur tzura? It was already going to go to yibur. So he says the Malachamani was going like Tanad Baravua the Aman afilu pigul taun yibur tzurat. He says even the pigul is going to need yibur tzura before it's going to be burnt. Meaning before you burn it, you have to make sure that it becomes rotten, it becomes ruined, and then you're going to burn it. So Ravashi says, even if you're going to tell me Rabbanan, Kevin the Bin and the Palginu, since they're going to come and they're going to divide it, you could bring each half. So it's both fitting. So therefore, even the first one that went out to thing, right? You still need ibur tzura even before you're going to burn it. So Itmar was stated. How would they make it? You first bake it and then you fry it. Okay, Rabbi says no. You first fry it and then afterwards you bake it. So there's going to be a machloket. You first bake and then fry, or fry and then bake. You for sure have to do both. But the question is which comes first. So Amar Baraba, it's more mistaber like me because it says tufine, which means teafena nae. You have to bake it properly, right? So he says now if you're going to first fry it, it doesn't come out good. You first have to bake it, and then you could fry it. But Ravasi Amar, no, it's more mistaber like me. Why? Because it says tufine tafine na, which means that during the time that it's going to be mushele me'at, now you're going to come and you're going to, that means first you have to fry it, and then you bake it. So the truth is we do something like that nowadays. It's not really frying. They come and they throw, for example, donuts. In order to keep it its shape, what they do is they take the dough and they throw it into boiling hot water. And then afterwards they come and they take it out and they bake it. Bagels. Yeah, sorry, bagels. Right, bagels. Right? So he comes and he says, Ketanai, it's actually Machol Ketanaim. Tufine, tafenena. What does that mean? Rabbi Omer, Rabbi says, tafenena. Right? So basically the question is it going to be raw or is it going to be nicely? Baked raw or baked nicely? So you have to do it a lot. So itle na. He says you have none, you have a lot. Okay, that's the shita of Rabbi Yosef, which means he wants to say tafena na and tafena na. So therefore, he says you have to do it both. You have to. That means you're going to bake it before the tigun and after the tigun, right? That's what you're saying. You're going to bake it a few times. That's what he wants to say. That means you have to bake it twice. Okay, that's shita of Rabbi Yosef, right?
Baguettes they sell at Costco. They're like pre-baked.
But it's fried at all or not?
No, it's pre-baked, but they're still like
they're still raw. Exactly. Yeah. So here that means they're going to do that, fry, then again bake again. Okay. Fine. Tananahata, we also learned over there. It's everything has to be done within the Azara. Meaning they have to knead it, they're gonna prepare it, they're gonna bake it, everything. V'duchot Shabbat, it's gonna be duchot Shabbat. Okay? How do we know these words? Which one? Yeah, it's gonna be made on Shabbat. So he says, Amravuna tufine te'afenana ve'iyafela mitvot. So if you did it yesterday, inashvala, it's not gonna come out good. Meaning if you did it yesterday, it's not gonna come out good. So you have to do it even on Shabbat. So Matkif Rav Yosef, Ema de Kavish Leu B'Yarka says, fine, but maybe immediately afterwards on Erev Shabbat, you're going to put it, like you're going to cover it up. And therefore, if you're going to cover it up, it's going to be good. So you could do it on Erev Shabbat. It's not going to be Doche Shabbat. So he says, no, the very Bishmentana, Te'aseh vafilu b'Shabbat. When it says in the Pasuk, Al Machavad B'Shem Te'aseh, it's going to be done even on Shabbat, vafilu b'Tuman, even if it's going to be Tameh. So Abaye says, it's Pasuk, Solet Mincha Tamid. What does that mean? Harei ki mincha tamidin. It's going to be like the Korban Tamid. Remember, Korban Tamid is brought even on Shabbat. We read the Olat Tamid on Shabbat. So for just like the Korban Tamid is brought on Shabbat, it's brought every single day. What? Yes. So therefore, just like it's going to be brought every single day, so those two they're going to bring also, right, the mincha, this the Kohen Gadol, they're going to make it also on Shabbat.